I was looking as I said it, I saw her.
Thank you all for attending our meeting tonight. We first will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's nice to see a full house for one of our meetings. I know you're all here for proclamations, but we still can pretend it's for other stuff too, right? No, it's here. It's just nice to see everyone here. Roll call, please.
Benson.
Here.
Brunick.
Here.
Sarda.
Here.
Hanoff.
Here.
Minor. Here. Mosier.
Here.
Villanueva.
Here.
Weber. Mayor Schramm.
Here.
City Manager Leon.
Here.
City Attorney Denherter.
Here.
Before you, you have the minutes of the regular meeting of March 10th, 2025. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Schedule of bills, what is the pleasure of the commission?
I move that we pay the bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bills? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Schramm.
Aye, bills will be paid. Moving on to the city manager's report. Amy, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission and public. Just a few updates here. I'll be brief since I know we have a lot of guests here who are here for their own proclamations. A reminder to everyone that our election for city commission is April the 8th. That's a Tuesday. Our voting centers are at City Hall and the North Fire Station, or Fire Station 2. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can also vote absentee. That began today, 8 to 5 at City Hall or at the Yankton School District Administration Building. The canvass of the election will be held for you commissioners to be notified on Friday, April 11th at 12 p.m. So folks should get involved. There's lots of information on the Thrive website about the candidates. Press and Dakota media, other media outlets also has information, so encourage people's participation in that. A lot has happened in Yankton since you last met, and I have not had a chance yet to sit down and visit with Nancy Winandy regarding the announcement at Simples or American Foods. She and I will be doing that, and I'll be visiting also with some staff just to talk about it briefly. Want to say, first of all, American Food, since I've been here, has been a really great partner with the city. They've been very good to work with in all aspects and very generous with their time and their supporting special events for parks, et cetera. So that whole team will be missed for a lot of different reasons. So I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about the fact that there will be probably an impact that we will notice. They're a huge water user and wastewater user, so we may need to take a look at that. But certainly right now, kind of focusing on the employees themselves, and want to support Nancy and her team at Thrive with their efforts. I know there's a job fair coming up this week for those folks, and the fortunate news is that we do have a lot of opportunities here in Yankton should those people consider continuing to make Yankton their home, and certainly we hope they do. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to publicly thank American Foods and Simples for the time that they were here in Yankton, and make sure everyone knew that we do appreciate all that they've contributed for decades in our community. On Wednesday, a number of us staff will be traveling to Del Rapids. The South Dakota Municipal League has their District 3 legislative meeting, so we will get updated on all things that happened and were figured out, and the things that weren't figured out in the legislative session this year. There were some bills that are going to impact our community and are going to impact you as commissioners, one of them being when we can hold our city election, actually. So there was a change there. So we're going to get all the updates and we'll put together information from you, but in the next coming year, we'll have to look to make some ordinance changes, I think, so that we'll be in line with this changes to the state statutes. One other thing, RDG, our consultants working with us on our strategic plan, if they haven't already, will be reaching out to you to schedule a time to interview you, talk with you a little bit about the plan for that day on April 30th, and get some of your input, perspectives, etc. So look for that call to be coming. It'll either be Amy Hasse, I would think, or perhaps Maya, who will be reaching out to you. So if there's any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I know we have a lot of important things to talk about here under proclamations.
Thank you. Just for that job fair, I believe it's 9 to 1 tomorrow morning at NFAA. If you know of anyone that would be interested, 9 to 1 tomorrow at the Archery Center. Any questions for the city manager? Okay, we will proceed to the proclamations. So we have 3 proclamations tonight, and which it's always a blessing to have proclamations. That's one of the better things I get to do as mayor and the commission gets to do, is recognize outstanding people, outstanding groups, outstanding causes in our community. So after I read the proclamation, if someone from that group would like to say a few words, so when Doyle gets up, I might start playing Oscar music if he starts talking too long. So first we have National Library Week. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. And whereas libraries partner with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. And whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, and literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning that lasts a lifetime. And whereas libraries protect the right to read, think, and explore without censorship, standing as champions of intellectual freedom and free expression. And whereas libraries support job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, thus contributing to local prosperity and growth. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme, Drawn to the Library. Now therefore be it resolved that the Yankton City Commission proclaim April 6th through 12th, 2025 as National Library Week. Residents are encouraged to visit their local libraries this week and beyond, exploring their numerous resources and celebrate all the ways that the library draws us together as a community. Dana, a few words for us?
I wrote it out this time, so I'll try to do it fast before the music starts. Thank you for having us here tonight. Thank you guys always for your support. And I wanted to say a big thank you to our community for their support always, but especially during this last legislative session. There were large proposed budget cuts to the South Dakota State Library this year, which would have affected services in libraries all over the state, such as interlibrary loans and access to multiple research databases. We heard multiple times throughout the session that legislators heard from constituents about saving the state library almost more than any other issue. Thankfully, in the final budget, the reductions to the state library were not nearly as drastic as originally proposed. However, the approved budget depends on federal funding, which comes from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and which is federal funding. And there is no funding approved for IMLS beyond September 2025 due to the executive order issued last week calling for an elimination of the Institute of Museum and Library Services. This is the only federal funding for libraries and museums. Library funding draws less than 0.003% of the annual federal budget, yet libraries have such an enormous effect on the communities they serve. These cuts would again drastically cut or mean the loss of services from the state library such as database access, interlibrary loans, and the Braille and talking book services. We hope we can count on continued support from our communities for the libraries they love. Now, we're here for National Library Week. We're starting the celebration early. This is the season for proclamations. We thought we were going to beat the proclamations because we always have a big proclamation week, but we're sharing again, so we're happy to do that. National Library Week is celebrated this year, April 6th through the 12th, to recognize the valuable role libraries play in communities in transforming lives and strengthening their communities. This year's theme is Drawn to the Library. Throughout the month of April, we will ask folks if they would like to give the Library Foundation a high five, which is a donation of $5 or more if they feel drawn to their library. We will also have take and paint kits available for people to decorate bookends, which will be on display that week and then used in our collection. We will have a drawing competition for adults on Friday, April 11th, and we will be showing a documentary called Free for All on Saturday, April 12th, which is about how public libraries have shaped our country. We hope you'll stop in during National Library Week and help us celebrate.
Thank you, Dana. All right. Moving on to our second proclamation. These guys weren't able to come last meeting because a good number were being inducted to the National Honor Society. So maybe bowling and being smart go hand in hand. I can't say for certain, but I think there's probably a correlation there. So whereas the Yankton Bucks high school bowling team has shown remarkable skill, dedication, and sportsmanship throughout the season, and whereas Coach Patrick King is one of the only 3 USBC certified silver coaches in South Dakota, along with his coaching staff, has demonstrated exceptional leadership and support, instilling a spirit of excellence and teamwork among the players, and whereas the Bucks have represented our community with pride and excellence, embodying the spirit of determination, teamwork, and perseverance, and whereas their extraordinary performance has led them to be crowned the 2024-25 South Dakota Boys Bowling State Champions, bringing honor and recognition to the city of Yankton, and whereas this outstanding achievement serves as an inspiration to all students, athletes, and citizens of Yankton. Now therefore, I, Mayor of Yankton, do hereby proclaim March 24th, 2025 as Yankton Bucks State Bowling Champions Day. Pat, if you have some words for us, or any of your players want to say anything?
Gentlemen, for those that don't know me, I'm Patrick King. I'm the head coach of the Yankton High School Buck and Gazelle bowling teams. I really should just go sit down because I couldn't possibly say words any better than Mayor Schramm just did about our program. That said, here I go. So to our city leadership, we're grateful that you invited us to be here and very honored for the mayor's proclamation. One of the many gifts that I receive as head coach is I get to visit with our teams before every practice and in the huddle before every match. And I certainly address all nature of bowling things, as they would attest to that. A common one would be make your spares, spares win matches, and make your spares. In addition, I do my best to motivate and inspire them. Never ever give up. Be brave. Bowl for each other. Win the day. Believe, believe, and believe some more. One of my favorites, be the storm. I know I've succeeded if I see at least a few eye rolls. And usually it's from 1 or 2 of our Gazelle bowlers. Interesting. I always begin my visits with our kids addressing them as bowling stars and amazing young people. And now I have one more name to give them, and that is state champions. So I'm very honored to introduce the 2024-2025 South Dakota High School Bowling Association Varsity Boys State Champions and JV Boys State Champions. Please stand up when I say your name. Audric Bays-Rom, Olin Herner, Peyton Couts, Beckett Kish, Ryan Turner, our captain, Justin Stratman, our MVP, Parker Kish, Jackson Parmalee. I think that's everybody. Congratulations. I also want to mention our amazing assistant coaches, Coach Todd Couts and Coach Brian Birch. I know of a quote that says, it's not about being better than someone else, but being better than you were yesterday. I do admire that statement because it speaks to the journey that each one of our bowlers is on. But sometimes it is about being better than everyone else. And all three of our teams, including our varsity girls, state runner-up Gazelles, competed at the highest level all season. So finally, my great friend, Coach Rosie, told me of a conversation that he had with one of our varsity boys. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but that's Liam Villanueva. Rosie asked Liam about the Bucks' dominant performance at state. Liam replied, and I love his statement, "We just did what needed to be done. We did our job." And they did their job beautifully. So, Bowling Stars, amazing young people, and now state champions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. King. All right, the last proclamation we have this evening is the KYNT Radio Station Day. So KYNT is turning 70, and so we're going to give them a proclamation recognizing that achievement. Whereas KYNT Radio Station has been a cornerstone of the Yankton community since its founding in 1955, providing reliable news, weather coverage, entertainment, public service announcements, and coverage of local sports. And whereas KYNT has consistently demonstrated a commitment to quality programming, local coverage, and community engagement, and whereas KYNT has been instrumental in supporting local events, highlighting community achievements, and serving as our primary information source for the people of Yankton, and whereas KYNT has embraced technological advancements to ensure that it remains a relevant and vital source of information in the modern era, and whereas the 70th anniversary of KYNT is a testament to the dedication, passion, and hard work of its ownership and staff, both past and present. Now, therefore, I, Mason Schramm, Mayor of the City of Yankton, do hereby proclaim March 27th, 2025 as KYNT Radio Station Day in Yankton, South Dakota, and call upon all citizens to join in celebrating KYNT's 70 years of outstanding service to our community. Carolyn, yep, thank you. Right, that was smart, not Doyle.
Smart choice. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate the proclamation. We're so proud to be a part of this community, and we're excited to celebrate Yankton KYNT being here for 70 years. So I started at the station in 1988 and have been a part of radio broadcasting since then and of this community. So it's quite a celebration. We want you to join us at our open house on Thursday from 4 to 6. And we'll have treats and things to eat. And then if you haven't seen the Radio Museum, we have almost a couple hundred different old radios that you can look at that are beautiful. And joining me today, I'm happy to have my cohort, Doyle. So if it's broken, he fixes it. That's the rule. Make it work. And then our manager, Kurt Dykstra, who's been with us since we took over in Yankton. March 1st of 2008 is when we took over ownership of the stations in Yankton. And then Dave Lesher, who I worked with, and then he's been on the air entertaining people and informing people for a long time, and we're so grateful to have him. And then Josh, who's over there, who continues to come and make sure we get all the information after the meeting to let everybody know what's going on. But radio is fantastic. We love to be a part of this community, keep you informed, keep you entertained, and thank you for being a part of it with us. Thank you so much.
thank you all for participating in that. I know there is a school board candidate forum coming up at 7, so if some people want to head out, we completely understand. We won't be offended. You don't all have to leave.
Only if they're going to the school board forum, right?
And this,
Guys can't leave. What are you doing? You don't get to leave. Oh, sorry. What is this, church?
all right.
The music stops or what?
Okay, we will continue with our agenda, moving on to the consent items. There are no consent items.
You want to go through public appearance just in
Oh,
case?
I missed that. Thank you, Steph. Public appearances is a time for anyone in the audience to address the City Commission on an item that is not currently on the agenda. So if there's anyone that would like to do so, please head to the podium. Thank you. Nope, good catch. All right, there are no consent item agendas, so we'll move on to old business. Item number 1, and the only item under old business this evening, is consideration of memorandum 25-63 regarding the request for a special on-sale malt beverage retailer's license and a special on-sale wine retailer's license for one day, April 9th, 2025, from Mount Marty University. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Mosier,
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
and Mayor Schramm.
Aye, motion carries. That concludes the old business section of the agenda. We will move to new business. Item number 1 is consideration of memorandum 25-42, recommending that the City Commission authorize a one-time contribution of $25,000 from the Triple B account to the Mead Museum to be utilized for the operational or capital costs associated with long-term strategy of the Yankton County Historical Society Board of Directors. Before we make a motion, like to, if Crystal would have some comments, words for us. Thank you, Crystal.
I'm a historian. I always have words. So thank you so much for taking your time to let me be here in front of you. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Crystal Mensch, Executive Director of Mead Museum, and a reminder that we are a 501c3 private nonprofit organization. And our goal and our mission is preserving and protecting the over 45,000 historic artifacts, documents, photographs, and books related to the culture and history of Yankton and Yankton County. Your ongoing support has allowed us to have the resources to consistently grow in our tourism visitor numbers each year. 2024, we had over 8,500 visitors. That is over 1,000 more than the year before that, which was 1,000 more before the year before that. So we are seeing a consistent, nice, healthy growth in our visit numbers. On April 12th, which you don't have to write this down, I'll send you an invitation. On April 12th, we are going to be unveiling an original 220-year-old Jefferson Peace Medal, like those carried by Lewis and Clark through Yankton in 1804. And it's already gained us national attention. Once on display, it will be one of only 2 known to be on public display and to be viewed in the world. This has put the Mead Museum on the map as a destination museum, which means people are planning their trips to Yankton specifically to see this artifact. So we're really very, very excited about the opportunity. We don't know how long we're going to have it on display, but it's for sure going to be up for at least a year, I hope multiple years. Your support has also been a catalyst to raise funds that we needed for a 2,500 square foot exhibit, permanent exhibit, on the first 100 years of Yankton's existence, called the Dakota Story. This is an artifact-rich exhibit that's set to open on March 2026. And last, our long-term sustainability plans, which you have our request is helping us to get to this goal, also continue to be progressing, and tonight your support would help us ensure that these exhibits that we're planning are getting opened on time, that we have the resources to solidify our future, and that the Mead Museum continues to be an asset to the Yankton community and your tourism industry. So thank you for your time, and I'm going to answer any questions anybody has.
Crystal, I know when you were here before, you talked quite a bit about partnerships and other opportunities that you were going to work on. Do you have any updates on how that's going?
So we're still waiting to hear on some, I don't think they want anything public yet. So yeah, we are continuing conversations with quite a few different entities to help us, to be in our space with us and as we grow. And part of that then is part of our long-term plan. If we have space that's available that can be leased out, that helps support another organization as well as support us going forward. So yeah, ongoing conversations are always happening.
Other questions for Crystal from the commission? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would request a motion from the commission. What is the pleasure of the commission?
I would move that we authorize a 2025 contribution of $25,000 from our BBB fund to the Mead Museum.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion among the commission relating to this motion. Okay, seeing no mics come on. Anyone from the public? Okay, roll call.
Villanueva?
Aye.
Weber? Aye. Benson?
Aye.
Brunick?
Aye.
Sarda?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Minor? Aye. Mosier? Aye. Mayor Schram?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Crystal. All right, moving on to item number 2 is consideration of memorandum 25-50, recommending that the city commission approve the mayor's appointed 3 commissioners to serve on the Consolidated Board of Equalization and 1 commissioner serve as an alternate. Who wants to serve?
This is on April 8th?
Yes.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Which is a Tuesday, so it's the election day, actually. And,
The adjustment is Tuesday, April 26th.
okay, and the adjustment meeting is Tuesday, April 20, I gotta put my readers. Sorry. Why don't I just read it to you? The board set Tuesday, April 8th at 9 a.m. for opening board adjustment, and Tuesday, April 22nd, starting at 9:30 for the hearing of the appeals.
I know some of you have done this in the past, so I appreciate that effort. Is anyone willing to volunteer to serve on this committee?
I'd volunteer to do it.
Okay, Mike, we need 3 commissioners.
I'm happy to do it, but I cannot make April 8th. I can only make the 22nd. So if someone could be there on my behalf on the 8th, that's a quick one.
I believe April 8th, the county commissioners are going to be at a training, so they will make that able to join virtually as well.
I can do it.
Okay, Mike and Bridget, and one more commissioner that can make April 8th and the 22nd.
I'll go ahead and do it.
Thanks, Ben. So, and then we need an alternate. So who would be willing to be an alternate if one of those are unavailable?
I'll volunteer to alternate.
Thank you, Brian. All right, so I would request for a motion be made to appoint Mike Villanueva, Bridget Benson, and Ben Brunick as the appointed members to the Board of Equalization, and Brian Hanoff as the alternate.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, thank you. Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Weber? Aye. Benson?
Aye.
Brunick?
Aye.
Sarda?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Minor?
Aye.
Mosier?
Aye.
Villanueva?
Aye.
And Mayor Schram?
Aye. Thank you all very much. I apologize, I didn't do that ahead of time, so put you all on the spot. Maybe that was the best way to do it, I don't know. Moving on to item number 3, consideration of memorandum 25-57, recommending that the commission approve the purchase of a 2025 Chevy Silverado 1-ton truck and upgrades from Lamb Chevrolet in Oneida for the Parks Department at a cost of $52,170. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Benson?
Aye.
Brunick?
Aye.
Sarda?
Aye.
Hanoff?
Aye.
Minor?
Aye.
Mosier?
Aye.
Villanueva?
Aye.
Weber?
Aye.
Mayor Schram?
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to item number 4 is consideration of memorandum 25-58 regarding resolution 25-13 approving the exclusive alcohol vendor contract and fee for music at the Meridian and the July 4th celebration for 2025. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion items? Okay, seeing none, anyone from the public? Roll call.
Brunick,
Aye.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Mosier,
Aye.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Mayor Schram.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 5 is consideration of memorandum 25-59 recommending that the city commission approve offering facade grant agreements to the projects selected by the committee. Before we make a motion, Dave, would you be willing to just share a little bit about the proposed projects that were selected?
Sure. We had a really good, strong 8 candidates, super competitive process this year. And as you know, Crystal Mensch, Nelson Debspec, Steph Mosier, and Kristen Blum are on the facade grant committee. Of those 8 projects that were submitted, there are 2 that are recommended for funding. They both leverage, if successful, they both leverage quite a bit of private dollars. The first one is 312 West 3rd Street, Forte, and that's Ewald's property that used to be the Boston Shoes to Boots before they moved over to Cedar Street. That total project is $64,780 with a grant recommendation of $15,000. The other project is the Dakota Theater at 328 Walnut Street. Those enamel panels on the front, the substructure behind them is in jeopardy of failure, and so all of those need to come off. The substructure needs to be rebuilt, and then the panels replaced back in their original position. It's a $133,000 project. They've already got a Deadwood grant of $22,000, and the committee recommended the other $15,000 available in facade grant funding to go there.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave from the commission before he can take a seat? Okay, thanks, Dave. Looking for a motion from the commission.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the facade grant? Okay. Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Sarda,
Aye.
Hanoff,
Aye.
Minor,
Aye.
Mosier,
I'm going to abstain, recent affiliation.
Villanueva,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Benson,
Aye.
Brunick,
Aye.
and Mayor Schram.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 6, consideration of memorandum 25-61 regarding resolution 25-14, which is the receipt of a donation of land in Block 49, Todd's Addition, from the United Church of Christ for the purpose of creating public parking improvements. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions for Dave or anyone before we vote?
Dave, do we just want to have an explanation of this?
As many of you know, in the City Hall Court Services area, library area, everything pretty much north of 4th Street in that Walnut Street corridor, there's been a significant parking problem for decades, and that has only increased over the last 5 to 7 years. So we, as opportunities have arisen, looked at, considered other properties in the neighborhood or other potential parking solutions, and in working with Chris Nelson from the UCC, this opportunity just kind of came in one day and started thinking about it, and it seemed like it made a lot of sense. They have intermittent parking issues at substantially different times than the rest of the neighborhood does, and we had parking improvements in our budget in 2025, and I think that it ended up, hopefully you also consider this a win-win situation where the church is agreeing through this purchase agreement to donate the property essentially, and then the city can go through a process of considering construction of that parking lot over the next 3 years, hopefully in the shorter term since it's in this year's budget. And if for some reason, worst case scenario, the city project doesn't move forward, the land reverts back to the church, but we're all hopeful that that isn't the case if you so approve. And I'd be happy to try and answer other questions if you have them.
So So this is to the west of their church building, where that structure was moved.
Correct. Pretty much on the grass where a lot of people park anyway sometimes. So, yeah, correct.
Dave, do you see, and this is probably down the road, I guess I was just thinking, any like parking restrictions? Will this be like a lot that can be used overnight or anything like that? Or do we usually have restrictions?
It'll be
on
a public parking lot, so it would be subject to the same restrictions that's in our standard ordinance provisions unless the commission decided to put some different level of criteria applied to it. I don't believe that would be necessary. The only ask that was a little bit different from the church was that more accessible stalls be created than we may typically create in a public parking lot, but that doesn't really look like, from a design perspective, that it would present any problems. So I think it would just be a standard city or public parking lot.
And I was trying to quickly read through here. Do we have an idea on how many projected parking spots that would possibly be? I know we got to probably plot it all out, but I was just curious.
So we're still in preliminary design of it. I can't remember the exact number. Okay. We can get you that number.
It's not really, I mean, it's not relevant until tonight. I was just
the key
curious.
is to make the circulation work while maintaining as many stalls as possible. So, multiple access points. Every time you create an access point, you eliminate stalls. So as few access points that'll function, the better, but still you need it to function properly and efficiently. So.
Does that building in the northeast corner stay, or will that be taken down?
So that, in the initial design, the plan is for it to stay with further consideration in the future, since it'll be city property. And it does actually have a little garage door on the west side of it, so we could use it for whatever needs there may be there in the short term, and then think about that longer term.
Thank you. Any other questions for Dave? Okay.
We do have somebody from the church in the audience. if you
Oh,
want
yes, if there's any comments to be made. Okay. All right.
Thank you to the church. I think it's a win-win agreement for both sides.
So we have a motion and a second, right, Lisa? Okay, thank you. Any additional discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay, roll call.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Minor.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Mayor Schramm.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to our last item under old business, consideration of memorandum 25-62 regarding the request for a special on-sale liquor license for one day, April 5th, 2025 from Riverfront Brewery. The event will take place at St. Ben's Church. What is the pleasure of the commission?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Anyone from the public? Roll call.
Minor.
Aye.
Mosier.
Aye.
Villanueva.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Benson.
Aye.
Brunick.
Aye.
Sarda.
Aye.
Hanoff.
Aye.
Mayor Schramm.
Aye, motion carries. That concludes our new business section. The future business section, is there any matter from the commissioner that they would like to bring up at this time? Okay. With that, we would ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss contractual and litigation matters.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, we are adjourned into executive session. Thank you all for coming. Have a good night.